and welcome to Mjtv Global News, informative news with a global perspective here on mjtvnetwork.info. I'm Natasha Johnson, and in this week's news, Pope Francis began his Holy Week leading up to Easter by celebrating Palm Sunday with around 100 pilgrims in St. Peter's Square. Palm Sunday marks the day that the Gospels say Jesus rode into Jerusalem shortly before his arrest and crucifixion, with his followers laying cloaks and palm fronds over the path into the city. Pope Francis led his own procession of palms into St. Peter's, blessing the palm fronds and olive branches clutched by members of the crowd. The 77-year-old pontiff then delivered an entirely off-the-cuff address, ignoring his prepared speech in a remarkable departure from custom. Wearing red to symbolize the blood of Christ, the Pope appeared solemn and tired during the 15-minute address. He spoke about the last 2 days of Jesus' life, including his betrayal by Judas, his arrest, beating, trial, and crucifixion. He then asked his listeners to think hard about who in the story they resembled. They who helped Jesus, those who condemned him, or those who were indifferent to his fate. He shed the red vestments on top of his white cassock and posed for selfies with young Brazilians from Rio who had carried the large cross in the square. He then went to meet members of the crowd in his open-top Pope-mobile. Francis had barely climbed aboard his vehicle, however, when he spotted some Polish youths clamoring for a picture, and he hopped off to oblige them with a selfie as well. He also kissed babies and enjoyed the sip of mate, a herbal traditional tea in his native and offered to him by a pilgrim. To you, Steve.
Thank you. In Fiji, a young policeman was found dead in the Police Special Response Unit canteen freezer in Nasinu at the weekend. Taviti Matiago, 21, who was a recent recruit from the Fiji Police Academy, was based there. Police spokeswoman Anna Naisoro said an investigation was now in progress following the discovery of the policeman's body yesterday morning. Ms. Naisoro said the victim was last seen with 2 others at the weekend. When they returned to the Barak compound, he asked to rest at the canteen, Ms. Naisoro said. When they came back to check on him, he was missing, whereby a search was conducted, however proving negative. His body was found by a police carpenter when he opened the freezer this morning, and Ms. Nassauer said an autopsy will be done to confirm the cause of death as investigations continue. Steve?
Thank you, Shaquille. Now, Salon promised to give a woman the hair of her dreams, but it caused her to go permanently bald, and she has filed suit. They promised her a full head of hair, but it was a bald-faced lie, and a $15 million lawsuit has been filed. A real estate executive said she shelled out over $250,000 to a clinic that promised to restore her hair and her confidence. It wound up leaving her permanently bald. Deborah Batesh's lawyer, Bruce Barron, said what happened to his client at the microdot technique was an egregious case of fraud, misrepresentation, and deceptive business practices. The defendants preyed on someone who was hoping to remedy something that was truly a burden, and they've now destroyed her life, he said. Batish, 56, first went to the East 58th Street Clinic in 2012 because she was worried about her thinning hair. She says that the techs at the clinic told her they could give her the hair of her dreams. They also told her that it was a safe and effective alternative to having hair transplant surgery. And this for 2 to 4 hours after the procedure, her short hair would become long, and that her thinning hair would again become full. Not only would microdot technique exactly match the color and texture of her natural hair, it would allow her to, amongst other things, wash her hair, use a curling iron, blow dry, and even put it in a ponytail, the suit says. But the process and the results weren't as advertised. But Batish says she was told that the microdots were teeny thin, undetectable hair extensions. They were actually surgically implanted beneath the scalp. And the person who worked on Batish's hair wasn't licensed for that kind of work. We'll be right back after these words.
Skylark, have you anything to say to me? Won't you tell me where my love can be? Is there a meadow in the mist where someone's waiting?
Welcome back. A new report shows that the Internal Revenue Service routinely gave bonuses and time off awards to tax agency workers who had been disciplined internally for job-related misconduct, which included fraud, misuse of government credit cards, and the failure to properly pay their federal taxes to Uncle Sam. The report from the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration found that 1,146 performance awards were given to IRS employees who had tax conduct issues, which included willful understatement of tax liabilities over multiple tax years, late payments of tax liabilities, and unreporting of income. The report, which focused on a 2-year period from late 2010 to late 2012, found that the IRS officials consider internal conduct issues and disciplinary action when it comes to pay raises. The IRS officials stated that the IRS generally does not consider conduct issues when administering other types of awards. Without giving details about specific misconduct, the report showed that one IRS employee received a 10-calendar day suspension in September 2011. Then, in August 2012, less than a year later, that worker was given a performance award of around $1,300. The overall review found that employees with recent substantial conduct issues, more than $2.8 million in monetary awards were given, more than 27,000 hours in time off awards, and 175 pay raise step increases from October 2010 to December 2012. Of the 1,449 IRS employees who received an award within 1 year disciplinary action, one was 1,406 had tax payment issues, but still received a total of $1.6 million in cash awards totals and 10,582 hours of time off. 246 were found to have misused government travel cards, but they still received $328,000 in cash awards and over 1,000 hours in extra time off. 53 had been disciplined for some other form of conduct, but still received $31,000 in cash awards and 541 hours of extra vacation time. 48 workers who have been found to engage in willful misconduct that was cause for firing but was still paid $38,000 in bonuses and given 416 extra hours of time off. 32 workers have been disciplined for fraud. They received $22,000 in bonuses and over 390 hours of time off. And examples of fraud include fraudulently claiming unemployment benefits, fraudulently entering attendance and leave on the timesheet. The IRS has agreed with a recommendation from investigators that conduct issues which result in disciplinary action, especially the non-payment of taxes owed to the federal government, be taken into account for all types of performance and discretionary awards. Shakia.
Thank you, Steve. The Zimbabwe and Angola business community have appealed to their respective governments to relax visa requirements or scrap the visa together between the two countries to enhance trade. Julio Mateos, Zimbabwe Angola Business Community, ZABA, Vice Chairperson, sighed, as the business community, we feel there is a lot of potential from both countries, and Angola has the money and Zimbabwe has the human capital. We want our governments to ease the visa requirements so that we can trade. ZABA is a business cluster made up of Zimbabwean and Angolan nationals. It was formed last year and aims at exploring investment potential in the two countries. This has come at a time Zimbabwe is aggressively seeking foreign direct investments amid concerns by economists that Zimbabwe's investment laws were repelling FDI. Natasha?
Thank you. Elise, a Venetian island described as one of the most haunted places in Italy, is due to be auctioned off next month as the Italian state desperately seeks to raise revenue. The small uninhabited island in the Venice Lagoon, minutes from Mark Square, is among 5 properties, including a castle and a monastery, that will go under the hammer in an online auction to help cut Italy's massive debt pile. After the plague was discovered on 2 ships, the island was sealed off and used to host people with infectious diseases, leading to legends of terminally ill Venetians waiting to die before their ghosts returned to haunt the island. A hospital for the elderly, which opened in 1922 and operated until 1968, is rumored to have hosted experiments on the mentally ill, including crude lobotomies carried out by a director who was driven mad by the ghost before throwing himself off the hospital's tower. The island is currently closed to visitors, but an American TV reporter who visited the island and entered the abandoned hospital for the Travel Channel series Ghost Adventures claimed to have been briefly possessed by the ghost there. The Italian state is now hoping that offers will arrive to transform the hospital into a luxury hotel under a deal giving the buyer a 99-year lease to redevelop the property while the island remains the property of the state. And now we're going to commercial.
Are you looking for that special treasure? Stop by Airport Antiques Gallery, an upscale, one-stop shopping experience. We feature some of the finest antique furniture, art, and collectible treasures from around the world. Airport Antiques and Eclectic Treasures provides professional auction and estate services for your personal valuables. We turn your treasures into... Located at 3440 Lang Avenue, Hapeville, Georgia. We are waiting for your call, 404-530-3930. That's 404-530-3930. Airport Antiques and Eclectic Treasures.
Welcome back to MJTV Global News, informative news with a global perspective. The president of the Jewish community of Gibraltar, James Levy, has written to Cardinal Vincent Nichols, congratulating him on behalf of the community on his elevation to the College of Cardinals. At the invitation of the Jewish community of Gibraltar, Cardinal Nicholas visited the British Crown dependency last June as part of delegation from the Council of Christians and Jews. During his visit, the Cardinal expressed his joy at visiting Gibraltar and at the visible excellent relations between Catholics and Jews on the Rock. Natasha?
Thank you. Customers of the Jamaica Public Service, also known as JPS, are being promised a 6.85% decrease in their electricity bills this month compared to March. In a release yesterday, the JPS said the fuel and independent power producers charge decreased from $28.83 in March to $24.38 in April. As a result, the overall impact of the bill of a typical residential customer using 165 kilowatt hours per month will be seeing the bill moving from $7,000 from March to $6,000 for April, a decline of $484, said the JPS. The Light and Power Company noted that the electricity bills are impacted monthly by the cost of fuel and the movement of the Jamaican dollar. To you, Steve.
Thank you, Natasha. An Ohio mother has been charged with allegedly faking cancer and raising thousands of dollars in donations. Mindy Taylor wanted others to have a heart, but didn't appear to have a heart for anyone else. The 35-year-old married mother from Chillicothe, Ohio, has been charged with felony theft after allegedly posing as a cancer patient and weaseling thousands of dollars in donations in a scheme to have fooled her own family. The disturbing revelations of Taylor's tearjerker were revealed early this month after anonymous tips that led to her surprisingly cancer-free medical records being subpoenaed. By then, Taylor, who had claimed to have undergone vigorous chemotherapy while fighting not only cancer of the small intestine, but heart disease and lupus, and she had reportedly amassed $21,000 in donations. And in an online blog, she said, "For those of you who don't know, last week was really hard for me. I pushed myself a little too much. Shocking, I know. And wasn't prepared with the increase in chemo." That was her last recent post. But some of those who stood behind her referred to themselves as a member of Mindy's army who wore wristbands and ran races in her honor. Meanwhile, her own mother established an online fundraiser for raising more than $13,000 on a $30,000 goal toward her medical expenses. She further organized spaghetti dinner for her in her hometown of Smithtown, Pennsylvania, raising more than $7,000 for Taylor. Ross County prosecutor Matt Schmidt expressed his belief to the Dispatch that Taylor's alleged pity party was quite possible not at all for cash. "I think she's a hypochondriac," he said, "and she enjoyed the attention. Even now," as he told the paper, "negative attention is still attention," right? Her attorney, Jeff Benson, argued that she is sick, and with that, he doesn't appear to be too sure. We'll be right back after these words.
Say you're down, you won't cry. Let me give you good advice. Hold your head up and just tell the blues bye-bye. Hold your head up and say bye-bye to the blues. Say you lost your job, can't pay your rent because all your money's spent. Dry your eyes, yes, dry your weeping eyes.
Welcome back to Mjtv Global News, where we bring you informative news with a global perspective. I'm Steve Moore. The celebrated boxer Reuben Hurricane Carter, who attracted international attention for fighting a wrongful murder conviction that sent him to prison for 19 years, his story inspired a Bob Dylan protest and a 1999 movie starring Denzel Washington. Reuben Hurricane Carter, the famous boxer, was exonerated after being convicted of a wrongful murder, died at his home Sunday at the age of 76. Carter's friend and former co-defendant John Artis confirmed the news to the Associated Press, saying Carter died in his sleep after a battle with prostate cancer. Carter was twice convicted of shooting 3 people in a Paterson, New Jersey bar in 1966, 2 years after losing the boxing middleweight championship. But prosecutorial misconduct involving racial bias and withheld evidence led to both verdicts being overturned in 1985. Carter's quest to clear his name attracted international attention, and Amnesty International called him a prisoner of conscience. Reuben Hurricane Carter, dead at age 76. Natasha?
Thank you, Steve. Wood County school officials in West Virginia have asked their lawyers to review a wrestling team's t-shirt that bears a Bible verse on the back. Superintendent Pat Law tells the media outlet that the Wisconsin-based Freedom from Religion Foundation complained about the Parkersburg South High School team's t-shirt to school officials. The verse states, "I can do all things through him that strengthens me." The law says that the group's complaints alleges that the t-shirts violate the federal separation of church and state. Law says school officials don't want to infringe on anyone's right to practice their religion, but he says courts repeatedly have said public institutions such as schools cannot promote religion. Attorney Bill Merriman represents one of the wrestlers and his parents. He says wrestlers' parents bought the t-shirts. To you, Shakia?
Thank you, Natasha. There has been 30 confirmed cases of dengue fever in the northern Mozambican province of Cabo Delgado since the current outbreak began in late March, according to the National Director of Health, Francisco Bufano, cited in Monday's issue of the independent news sheet Media Facts. There have been no deaths from the disease so far, and the health authorities regard the situation as under control. They are, however, recommending preventative measures against the mosquito that carries the disease. Unlike malaria, which is transmitted by a single-celled animal known as Plasmodium, injected into humans through the bite of an infected Anopheles mosquito, dengue is a viral disease carried by several species of the Aedes genus of mosquito. Last Thursday, the Cabo Delgado provincial governor, Abdul Razak Nohor Hamed, met with community and religious leaders in the provincial capital, Pemba, to alert them to the threat of the disease and the need for preventative measures. He wanted that, unlike the Anopheles mosquitoes, which breeds in stagnant, dirty pools, the Aedes mosquito species reproduce in clean water. In visits to several Pemba neighborhoods, health brigades have detected the dengue virus in containers of otherwise clean water. The Mozambican authorities are also strengthening precautionary measures against Ebola, following an outbreak in Guinea-Conakry, in which at least 61 people have died since January. The disease has also spread into Liberia. There are suspected cases in Sierra Leone. Ebola is a hemorrhagic fever for which there is no cure. The fatality rate is around 90%. We will be back after these messages.
Say you're down, you want to cry. Let me give you good advice. Hold your head up and just tell the blues.
Welcome back to Mjtv Global News, informative news with a global perspective. My name is Natasha Johnson. North Carolina's biggest city is looking for ways to boost growth by attracting new immigrants to the United States. A move on some complain will welcome people living in the country illegally. The Charlotte Observer reports the city council created a group last fall to study what cities are doing to encourage immigrants to start businesses and get involved in civic life. The task force includes economists, school leaders, law enforcement, and business representatives. The head of North Carolina group demanding tougher enforcement of immigration laws says Charlotte officials seem as eager to entice people in the country illegally as legal residents. Ron Woodward of North Carolina Listen says the public doesn't want illegal immigration embraced. To you, Shakia?
Thank you, Natasha. A large crowd of well-wishers gathered at the wharf in Jamestown to greet the arrival of the St. Helena's first island-owned offshore fishing vessel on April 19th, 2014. A new company, St. Marine Resources, was set up in January of 2014 to buy and refit the trawler in Hout Bay, South Africa. The long-sought vessel will enable the island to exploit the rich fishing areas around its sea mounts. MVF Extractor arrived safely in James Bay at 17:30 hours on Saturday, April 19th. Approximately 200 people turned up at the wharf to welcome the crew back, and they were given a brief demonstration of the vessel's handling ability that will await clearance by customs and immigration officials. Once ashore, the lead skipper, Trevor Otto Thomas, and crew members Waylon Thomas, Peter Benjamin, Errol Thomas, and Terry Richards were presented with a St. Helena Blue Ensign for the MVF Extractor by Councilor Lawson Henry, chairman of the Economic Development Committee. During a small welcoming reception for the crew held at the St. Helena Yacht Club, shortly afterwards, Councilor Henry spoke about the significance of the extractor's arrival in St. Helena, noting that when we talk about achieving economic growth for the island, it is steps such as this that islands need to be taking. Steve?
Thank you, Shakia. Now, with the weather. In Atlanta, we're at 75 glorious degrees. Chicago, rainy, 50 degrees. Los Angeles, sunny at 73. New York, cloudy at 57. Istanbul, Turkey, partly sunny at 75. Vienna, Austria, raining at 72. Sydney, Australia, raining at 79. And Zagreb, Croatia, they're at 72 with rain. Nairobi, Kenya, partly cloudy, 79 degrees. Thank you. We'll be right back after these words.
Are you looking for that special treasure? Stop by Airport Antiques Gallery, an upscale, one-stop shopping experience. We feature some of the finest antique furniture, art, and collectible treasures from around the world. Airport Antiques and Eclectic Treasures provides professional auction and estate services for your personal valuables. We turn your treasures into... Located at 3440 Lang Avenue, Hapeville, Georgia. We are waiting for your call, 404-530-3930. That's 404-530-3930. Airport Antiques and Eclectic Treasures.
and welcome back to Mjtv Global News, informative news with a global perspective. Today's inspirational, uplifting quote is "Don't count the days, make the days count," by Muhammad Ali. Shakia?
Thank you, Natasha. And today in Hindu, the women have found empowerment. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi has quoted women would have to identify their strength and become self-reliant to improve the future of their families and their country. Steve?
Thank you. Now, I always like to end the show with a funny story. Well, an Oregon inmate, Sir Giorgio Clardy, 26, filed a handwritten $100 million lawsuit in January against Nike for inadequately marketing its Air Jordans. Clardy, a convicted pimp, had received an enhanced penalty for using a dangerous weapon to maim the face of a John. He stomped and kicked the man after accusing him of skipping out on a payment. And the dangerous weapon was apparently his shoe. Clardy said Nike bears at least some responsibility for his incarceration because it failed to label the shoe as a dangerous weapon. Now, this story I know will touch the heart of our producer. The most recent monument offered by people for the ethical treatment of animals would be its proposed 10-foot tombstone along US 129 in Gainesville, Georgia, to honor the several chickens that were killed when the truck overturned in January. No humans were hurt in the collision, and had the chickens survived, they would have shortly been slaughtered anyway. The Georgia Department of Transportation rejected the proposal. Thank you for joining us this evening. Be safe. Election time is coming up. We need new blood in the Senate. Vote for Reginald Crosby. Thank you.